Welcome, recruit. It's good to have you here. I know this is your first training session, so let's go ahead and lay down some ground rules. First, always be safe. Never do anything that could harm yourself or others. Second, if at any point in time you feel any pain for any reason, stop what you're doing immediately. Third, always give 100% of effort on everything you do. Now, for today's training session, you only need one piece of special equipment, and that's going to be a training sword of some type. I have right here a foam sword. You could also use a steel training sword that is not sharp. Don't use a sharpened one. Or you could use a stick. The choice is yours. They all work about the same for what we're doing today. So after you have your training equipment, go ahead and place that down. We'll be using that later on in the session. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start by just warming up. You should always warm up before you do any sort of physical activity, just so you don't injure yourself. For the warm up, we're just going to bounce around, just like this. I want you to try to stay as loose as possible from your fingertips up to your shoulders, all the way down to your toes. You can turn your hips as you bounce and swing your arms, however you want to. Let everything just be relaxed and move around. Great job. Keep it going. Keep it going. Move around. Go a little side to side. Still staying loose. Put one foot in front of the other and go forward and backwards. Put the other foot in front. Go forward and backwards. We're just bouncing around, trying to get active. Let's go ahead and show the inside of our shoe and then the inside of our other shoe. Look how nice these shoes are. Go ahead and show them. All right. Let's keep moving a little bit in our lower body, and let's do some big arm circles. Get those shoulders nice and warmed up for the punches and the strikes that we're going to be doing a little bit later. And go ahead and go the other direction. Now let's slow down the pace a little bit, and let's roll our neck out. Make sure you're doing this nice and slow. Don't go too fast with this. And rotate to the other direction. Great job. Now let's go ahead, stand squared with our legs, and let's twist to one way and then the other way. Let your arms be nice and relaxed, and swing as you go. Try to look over your shoulder as far as you can, back behind you. Trying to really get that spine moving, lubed up, ready to move. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Now let's go ahead and get a little bit more hip turning into this. You can raise the heel as you turn away from it. Raise that back heel, and the other side. All right, great job. So the first thing that you need to know as an adventurer is your fighting stance, right? So there are so many different fighting stances that you could use, and it depends on what you're doing. If I'm empty-handed, I might do something different than if I have a knife or if I have a sword. All going to be slightly different, but we're just going to have a generic stance that we can kind of flow through. So let's see what that will look like. Let's go ahead and let's put our feet together just like this. Okay, my heels are touching. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that one foot is on the inside of my other foot as my heels are touching. If my leg, or the direction I'm facing, that's going to be the one that's on the back side of the other foot's heel. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn, face this way. I'm going to step forward 1 to 2 foot lengths. And now this is your own foot length. All right, so where my foot is right here, I'm going to put that forward, right? So that's 1. And I could go all the way to 2, which is at this line. This is a little bit deep, so I'll go back about half a foot length. So go ahead and find what that is for you. Again, with me, your back leg, and it could be either leg. Right now, I have my right leg in front. I'm going to put, since my right leg's going to be in front, I'm going to put it behind my left heel. Now I've got 1 foot length, step forward. That's 1 foot length, right? So we want to go between 1 and 2 foot lengths. So if I was to go up another foot length, it would be here. It's a little bit deep, right? This is okay stance, but a little bit back might be a little bit better. That way I can close more distance whenever I'm moving or need to close the distance. So find that again. Get your stance, 1 foot length, maybe slide up just a little bit more from here. Now what I'm doing is I'm also going to bend my knees. That way I can keep my weight distributed between both, but I'm also ready to move. If my feet or if my knees are locked out like this and I try to move, it's not going to work out too well for me. When my knees are bent, I'm ready to spring forward or spring backwards at any moment. So never lock your knees out, but you also don't want too much of a bend. It's not going to work out for you. So let's find that fighting stance. Pick a side that you want. Get your heels together, step out, and just a little bit further. Now, what are we going to do with our hands once we found this? Well, our hands are going to come up just like this. Hands should never be static, right? What does static mean? It means that they don't move. We don't want them frozen in place like this. Our hands are going to be constantly moving, and now I call this floating, right? Your hands are floating in air. They're moving with you. They're your counterbalances whenever you move at any point, right? What we don't want is we don't want both of our hands drop down like this. Some of the time, we will have our lead hand drop down, right? Maybe it's preparing to grab something. Maybe it's just trying to be out of the line of sight of our opponent so we can quickly pop in. Or maybe our shoulder is just tired from holding up our arms so long and we keep it here. Back one is going to be anywhere from eyebrow all the way down to your hip. Don't let it come down any lower unless you're doing some sort of blocking or grabbing motion. It'll be floating from here. Our front hand will be floating out here, right? If we're kind of tired or we just want to be relaxed, we can bring our elbows in and have them resting on us, right? That's a nice coiled position, ready to shoot out at any moment. Or we can have it a little bit further out. I would have it a little bit further out on instances where I plan on intercepting my opponent's attack, right? That way I can hit or block before they get a chance to get too close to me and make contact with me, because that's not something I want. If I'm in too tight here, they might hit me before I get a chance to even do a block. So I might be out a little bit further if I'm planning on intercepting whatever they're doing. So again, hands are floating, right? They're moving around. So what I want you to do now is I want you to stand here, put your feet together, step out, raise your hands. Now make sure that these heels are not in line. There should be a little bit of a space here, right? That way if I want to step backwards, I'm not going to kick myself, right? Should be able to flow back with this leg at any point without making contact with my other leg. Hands are up and floating. Okay, so now we found it on one side. Let's go ahead and make sure that we get it on the other side as well. So step, heels together, and they could be a little bit out as well. And this position will also vary as you're moving around. So don't think of it as it has to be this or it's wrong. That is not how a fighting stance works. Let's go ahead and step out 1 foot and then a little bit more forward, right? Typically, for me, if my feet are closer together, this length, the back foot will also start to turn in. If they're a little bit further out, it goes to about 90 degrees. You typically don't want more than 90 degrees with the direction of your toes, right? So a little bit further out, I'll have 90. If it's a little bit closer in, I'll typically have my hips a little more squared, and my back foot will be about 45 degrees off, right? And again, this is something that varies as you're moving around. It's never static, okay? Your stance, your guard is always moving. So back to this position, step out, raise your hands up, right? Hands are nice and relaxed. Don't clench your fists. There's no reason for that. Your hands are going to be relaxed at all times. The only time you tighten up is upon making contact with something, whether that's a block of some sort or a strike of some sort. Other than that, your hands are always relaxed, right? I like to think of little goggles that I can see through, right? Here. And now I want you to kind of bounce around just a little bit. Move just like this. Okay, we got our stance down. Next up, we're going to know how to move, and today we're only going to be focusing on moving forward and moving backwards. We're going to be using a footwork that's called step and slide. Now it is exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to get in my guard position here. I'm going to step, and I'm going to slide. That's how you move forward. Can you guess how you move backwards? Great job, recruit. You know how. Step and slide. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this 20 times. Okay? And it'll be once and then back. That'll count as 1. Ready? Moving, just kind of bouncing, staying active, and forward, backward. 1. Forward, backward. 2. Forward, backward. 3. Whichever foot is closest to the direction we're going, that's the one steps first. Forward, backward. 4. Forward, backward. 5. Forward, backward. 6. Notice how my hands move. Forward, backward. 7. Now I'm just going to count. 8. 9. 10. Staying active in your guard. 11. 12. This isn't a huge movement. 13. 14. 15. 16. You can change directions. 17. 18. If you can, try to be quick with it. 19. Small little movements. 20. All right, take a breath. Obviously, we're going to do this on the other side because we don't just practice one side. We're well-rounded adventurers. So we're going to switch our leads. Now, this could be something as much as this, right? Kind of a big motion where I cover a few feet, or it could be this, right? Just a few inches just to get out of the way of something, or just get just close enough to make contact. All right, we're going to do this 20 times with our other lead. Hands are up. Ready? 1. Forward, backward. Now make sure you breathe. Don't hold your breath. 2. Hands are floating. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Forward, backward. 8. Step and slide, step and slide. 9. 10. 11. Stay active in your guard. You see how I'm moving around, bouncing a little bit. 12. 13. 14. Don't hold your breath. Try to breathe naturally. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. All right, great job on that. Now we're going to move on to our second training block. So we just went over our fighting stance and our step and slide footwork, going forward and backwards. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cover our jab, right? What is a jab? A jab is a lead hand straight punch. So jab looks like this. Not really using any footwork right now. There is a lot of footwork that can be done with this, but it's extending out and bringing it back. Now notice, see how my hand is open? My hand's gonna stay open this whole time. I'm not making contact with anything. I know I'm not making contact with anything, so I'm not gonna even tense up at the end of this punch, right? That's gonna make me a lot more stiff and a lot more slow. I'm just gonna shoot it out and let it come back. One of the key mistakes that most people make whenever they're first learning how to do a jab is they raise this elbow up to the outside and then they shoot this hand out. Now, if I do that low, right, imagine raise this up and I shoot this out. See how that's not a straight line versus this, where my hand moves in that straight line? We want to make sure that our hand is moving in the straight line the whole time. We also want to make sure that we punch with our punching knuckles, our 2 big knuckles right here. We don't want to hit with small, small, big knuckle, right? Those 3, it's not what we want. If we do that, we have a high likelihood of breaking our pinky knuckle. Not something we want to do. It's called a boxer's fracture. Don't do it, right? So there will be a little bit of this wrist inversion motion, eversion. Turn the wrist just slightly so that you're going to be hitting with those 2 big knuckles. When we're making a fist, we want to curl our fingers and we want to put our thumb over our first 2 fingers. Move that wrist slightly to the side so you can punch with those knuckles. Okay? Staying nice and relaxed, get into your guard, knees are a little bit bent. We're going to push our shoulder forward with this, but we want to make sure that our arm is extending first, and then our shoulder follows just behind it. Okay? Do this nice and slow with me. Extend out, point that shoulder. Now, I want you to also get in the habit of raising your other hand up about to your eyebrow level, forehead level with your fingers as you throw this punch, right? So if your hand was down here and it's kind of lower guard, as you throw that punch, raise that up. Remember, if you can punch them, they can also punch you. So put that hand there just in case. If they're punching at the same time, they probably are. You might get a block on accident, which is better than getting punched in the face. Okay, hands up, extend out, and bring it back. You can have a little hip twist, shoulder twist in there at the end. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this nice and slow 20 times. Ready? 1, and bring it back. 2, other hands up, bring it back. 3, 4, extend a little bit, press with that back leg. 5, 6, 7, other hand comes up. 8, go in that straight line. 9, elbow points down until the very end. 10, exhale as you're shooting this out. 11, 12, 13, don't exhale after you're done, exhale during it. 14, 15, 16, 17, stay nice and relaxed. 18, 19, 20. Let's go ahead and let's switch our leads, and we're going to do 20 again, nice and slow. Ready? 1, turn the hip a little bit behind the punch. 2, and that means the hand is moving first. 3, 4, 5, hand moves first, then the hip follows. 6, 7, other hand comes up. 8, 9, 10, 11, hand first. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, hand, flip that elbow over at the end. 17, 18, 19, make sure you're looking where you're punching. 20. All right, let's switch back to our first guard. I don't care which one you're wearing, but switch your legs back again. Now, we're going to do 10 quickly. The key to this is staying nice and relaxed. When we punch out, we're also not focusing on pulling it back. We're just shooting it out. Everything's relaxed. And when we get to the end, our body's naturally going to want to recoil that jab. Right? If you focus on bringing it back, you're going to have too much tension in your muscles. It's going to make you slower. 10 times, quickly. Ready? 1. Exhale as you shoot it out. 2, 3, 4, other hand comes up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on our other hand. Switch your leads again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hand moves first, hip follows. 6. Don't raise the elbow up first. 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to learn how to do our cross. So what is a cross? Well, the jab is a lead hand straight punch, so the cross is going to be our rear hand straight punch. It is very similar in how it's thrown, except for this was going to have a lot more power behind it. So just like with our jab, the hand starts to move first before anything with the body happens. But with the cross, we're going to be powering it completely with our back leg and really turning our hip into it. So we're starting the motion with our hand moving first. When it gets a little over 90 degrees extension in that elbow, you're going to really drive off this base leg. If you've ever heard that the power comes from the ground in punching, this is why. We're going to be using what's called triple extension. So that's extending at 3 joints at the same time. The joints are going to be our hip joint, powered by our glute muscle, or our butt muscle. The next is going to be our knee joint, powered by our quads. And then we're going to have our ankle joint extending, powered by our calves. Right? So all 3 of these are going to be working at the same time to really propel our hip forward, our shoulder forward, and pressing off the ground to get that power behind the punch. Okay? So let's practice this nice and slowly. And just like with our jab, as we throw that cross, our other hand is going to be at our face, protecting. One more keynote on this: when you're throwing this cross, make sure that your shoulder is elevated just a little bit so that your chin is slightly tucked and behind it. We don't want our shoulder completely dropped down here where our chin is completely exposed to get hit at the same time. We want it up a little bit so that we're protecting that chin. Okay? So nice and slow. Make sure that you can feel all 3 of those muscle groups being engaged when we throw this. 20 times, and then we'll switch sides. We're in our guard here. We're going to extend slightly, then power, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your quads, squeeze your calves all the way at the end, and then bring it back. That's 1. 2, your heel should raise up. 3, exhale as you do this. 4, 5, 6, 7. If you're in too wide of a stance, it makes it a little bit difficult to do this. 8, 9. If you were to drop that arm down, notice how the shoulder is pointed towards the front. 10, 11, 12, 13, protect that jaw. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great job. Let's go ahead and switch our leads now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Other hand comes to your face. 5, 6, 7. Turn that hip. 8. Squeeze the glutes, quads, and calves. 9, 10. Bring it right back to your face. Don't drop it down. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Nice and relaxed. 19, 20. Great job. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put together our jab and our cross. So we're going to do this 10 times on each side. Pick whichever lead you want to be in front. As we throw our jab out, remember that other hand raises up to our face. As this hand is retracting, the cross is going out. The hand that was just doing the jab is going to protect your face. You want to make sure that you're not doing 1 and then 2, right? So don't bring the jab back and then throw the cross. As the jab is coming back, the cross is going out. So they're going to be passing each other at about this point here to protect. Now make sure that you really turn your hip for the cross. Okay, 10 times, nice and slow, just get a little bit of the flow going. And so we're in our stance, we're feeling nice and relaxed, and 1. Jab, other hand comes up. As the jab's coming back, the cross goes out, cross. 2, jab, cross. Turn your hip. 3, jab, cross. Press off of the ground. 4, jab, cross. 5, jab, cross. 6, jab, cross. 7, jab, cross. 8, jab, cross. 9, jab, cross. 10, jab, cross. Now let's go ahead and switch our leads. So same thing, other side. Remember, the jab is a lead hand punch, the cross is a rear hand punch. Ready? 1, jab. As the jab's coming back, throw that cross out. Cross. 2, jab, cross. 3, jab, cross. If you need to, relax a little bit in between each one. 4, jab, cross, relax. 5, jab, cross, relax. 6, jab, cross. Don't be too tense. 7, jab, cross. 8, jab, cross. 9, jab, cross. 10, jab, cross. Great job. Take a deep breath. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next training block. Now this is the part where I said at the beginning you need a sword or a stick, something like that. Okay, go ahead and pick up whatever you want to use. Today, I'll go ahead and I'm going to use a foam sword. Right? Could, again, use a steel sword that is blunted and not sharp. Do not cut yourself. Or you can just use a stick. If this is your first time doing any sort of sword work, I recommend using a stick. It's a little bit lighter weight and you're less likely to pull anything. All right, so we're going to cover angle 1 first. So when you're holding a sword or a stick, you're going to have your same side in front. So I'm holding it in my right hand. That means I'm going to have my right leg in front. This is so that my shield, which right now is my sword, is my shield, I'm able to block furthest out. I'm also able to get the first amount of reach. If I just put it in this hand, I lose the reach that I get when I'm here. Right? Even if I turn my shoulders all the way, I'm going to get more reach by having it in my lead hand. So we're going to have it in our lead hand. So what is an angle 1? An angle 1 is just a direction of attack. Now, say this with me. It's going to be a downward diagonal forehand strike. Okay. Now, if you don't know what a forehand strike is, let's imagine our center line, right? Cut our body in half. If my right arm is on the right side of my center line and I cross my center line, that is a forehand strike. A backhand strike is when my hand is on the opposite side of the center line and it comes back to the same side of the center line. So an angle 1 is a downward diagonal forehand strike. Just like this. Okay? Now, if you have a stick or a sword or whatever you have, try to imagine the edge of the blade, right? So it lines up with my crossguard and also should line up with your knocking knuckles, like you're knocking on a door, right? There's no doorbells, knock on a door, right? It lines up with the knocking knuckles. Make sure that you're cutting with that the entire time. You don't want to be cutting with your flat and do nothing, right? So even if you're using a stick, imagine that you have a blade edge and you are cutting with that, okay? So we start on this shoulder. We're going to cut all the way out and down across. Downward diagonal forehand strike. From the back, it'll look like this. Okay. Now, with a sword specifically, you don't have to put as much power as if you were using a stick. If I was using a stick, I would really want to swing and turn my hips behind every strike, and I go all the way through it. With a sword, not as much, right? Because if I miss, I need to be able to recover back quickly, and I'm assuming they also have a sword, and it's really dangerous for my arm to be way back here and get hit by somebody else's sword, right? So it'll stay a little bit more in front of you, and this is a force multiplier, so you don't need as much force behind it in order to do damage with a sword as opposed to with a stick, okay? But for now, let's go ahead and work on getting some power mechanics into it. So we're going to be striking through and turning our body a little bit more than what is actually necessary for using sword, but that is just so that you understand how to move your body. Here, turn your hips. Bring it back to the opposite shoulder. Strike through, flip over, bring it back to the opposite shoulder. It's on the same shoulder. Downward diagonal forehand strike. Bring it up to the opposite shoulder. Same side shoulder. across. Now let's go ahead and let's do this 20 times. Do it along with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Make sure that you're getting your full extension out. 4. So you don't want to be in close with this. 5. Get that reach. Turn your hips. 6. Full extension. 7. Exhale as you're throwing the strike. 8. 9. Turn the hips. 10. 11. If you feel comfortable, you can speed it up a little bit, but try to stay relaxed. 12. 13. Doesn't have to be all the way back behind you either. It can be here, especially if it's a sword. 14. Make sure you cut through the center line before you start to flip the wrist over. 15. 16. 17. 18. Downward diagonal forehand strike. 19. 20. Extend out fully. Great job. Switch hands. Same thing, other side. Since we switched hands, we also switched our leads. So now I've got my left side in front. Other hand is floating up here. Don't let it dangle down by your side. 1. 2. Extend out, turn the hip. 3. Reach out as far as you can each time. 4. 5. 6. 7. Turn your hips. 8. And over the opposite shoulder and bring it to the same side. 9. 10. 11. Stay nice and relaxed. 12. 13. 14. Extend out fully. 15. 16. 17. 18. We'll get that extension before those hips whip through. 19. 20. Great job. Now let's go ahead and let's put it back into the first hand. Again, don't care which side you started with. Now, we're going to do angle 2. Angle 2 is a downward diagonal backhand strike. And I actually want to point out something before we move on to angle 2 real quick. So with angle 1, when I had you go down with your right hand, notice when I switch to my left hand, it's coming from the other side, but it is still a downward diagonal forehand strike. So if I turn my back to you, this direction right here is a right-handed angle 1. If I switch sides, this direction right here is a left-handed angle 1. I want you to get those angles down so that if I say it, whatever hand you're holding in, I say angle 1, you'll know it's that direction depending on the hand that you're holding in or whatever is the dominant hand at the time if you're two-handed, okay? If you're using two-handed, the dominant hand is going to be the one that is closest to the cross guard. All right, so now we're back into the first hand that we started with. We're going to bring it across our body onto the other shoulder. We're going to turn our hips slightly towards the side that it's on, and we're going to come back across. Now, we extend out fully, and angle 2 is a downward diagonal backhand, and it ends in the angle 1 position. Bring it back over, extend out, turn the hips behind it. All right, this hand can be on the hip, or it can be up here. We just don't want it dangling down here, right? It's either up and ready to move, or it's on the hip and out of the way so it doesn't accidentally get hit. The choice is yours of where you want to put it. Ready? We're going to do 20 of these. Angle 2. I have my right leg in front. If you want to be the same as me, have your right leg in front. 1. Bring it back. 2. Extend out. Turn the hips. Notice that heel raised as I turn my hips. 3. 4. 5, 6, 7. Be careful of the things that are around you. You might be making contact with them. 8, 9, 10. Downward diagonal backhand. Extend out and turn. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, turn that hip, 19, 20. All right, so now we're going to switch to the other hand. Same thing. As we switch our hands, we switch our lead, have it up over the shoulder, and 20 times. 1, extend out, turn the hip. 2, extend out, turn the hip. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, downward diagonal backhand. 9, 10, 11, 12, hand is either up or on the hip. 13, or if you have another weapon here, you can be ready to deploy that. I think that was a 13, 14. If not, you got one more. 15, extend all the way out. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Great job on that. Okay, so we have now learned angle 1 and angle 2. We're going to put them together next. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to my arming sword. This is my steel sword. This is the one that I like to compete with. This is my favorite arming sword. When I do sword and buckler, it's the one I compete with. So we're going to put them together. 1, 2, and then come back. Right? Try to be a little bit relaxed. If you'd like, you can flow around a little bit. Again, you don't have to be in this big chamber position. A lot of time, you'll actually be in something a little bit more like this, where the tip is maybe just a little bit pointed back or even more forward. That way you can quickly hop in and get that strike, as opposed to, hey, look, I'm about to hit you with an angle 1, right? But this is the first time that you've done this. It's okay to have these big, exaggerated motions to really learn how to get the hips down. Good. 10 times. Ready? 1, angle 1, angle 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, angle 1's downward diagonal forehand, angle 2's downward diagonal backhand. 6, 7, turn those hips. 8, 9, other hand is either floating up here or on the hip. 10. Okay, let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Ready? 1, downward diagonal forehand, downward diagonal backhand. Make sure that you're cutting with the blade, not hitting with the flat. 2, 1, 2. 3, 1, 2. 4, 1, 2. Turn the hips. 5, 1, 2. Get relaxed. 6, 1, 2. Relaxed. 7, 1, 2. 8, 9, 10. Great job. All right, now go ahead, take a breath. So we're going to put our swords down. We're going to stick or whatever you've got. We're going to move on to one of the last parts of today's training, and that's going to be conditioning. Every adventurer needs to be strong and conditioned, right? So today's going to be fairly simple. We're going to start off with just 12 squats. Now, if you're unsure of the proper form to do a squat, let's go over that real quick. Okay, our feet should be about shoulder width apart, and now have your toes ever so slightly angled outwards. So I don't want my toes completely towards the front like this. I want them ever so slightly angled outwards, maybe between 15 and 45 degrees. Try not to go more than, all right, so this is 45 degrees, so even closer than that, about 30 degrees, about 15 to 30 degrees. Try not to go more than 45 degrees unless you're doing really wide sumo squats, but that's not what we're doing today. Okay, if I was to have something written on my chest, right, you see this little pattern on my chest? Actually, when I go down, I want you to continue being able to see that pattern. If I'm doing this, you can no longer see that pattern, right? That's not a squat. When I'm going down as well, I want to be able to wiggle my toes. So toes here, that means when I'm coming up, I'm going to be driving through my heels. For today's squat, I also want you to squeeze your glutes up at the top so you can really feel that engagement. If you can't feel your glutes squeezing, then as you come up, poke them, right? Poke them, that'll help you connect your mind to your muscles. Be able to, our hands are going to come right here in front of us like we're holding a big goblet, right? So we're here, toes are slightly angled outwards. We're going to drop down and do this along with me. Drop down and come up, squeeze the glutes up at the top. That's 1. 2. Make sure you can wiggle your toes when you're down there. 3. Chest stays up, head stays up. 4. Extend or exhale on the way up. 5. 6. If you find yourself falling backwards, you can extend your arms out in front of you. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Great job. So that should work your quads. It'll work your glutes a little bit too, especially if you're making sure to squeeze them on the way up. Next thing we're going to do is just going to be our push-ups. So there's 2 different ways you can do push-ups today. You can be on your toes or on your knees, depending on your fitness level. Push-ups are going to be working out our chest muscles, right, our pectorals, and they're going to be working out our triceps, okay? So when you're in the push-up position, I want you to have about 45 degrees between your elbow and your torso. I don't want this, right? If you're like this, you run the risk of, 1, hurting your shoulder, but you're also getting a lot more shoulder work, but a little bit less chest work. We're working more on our chest and our triceps for our push-ups, not on our shoulders. So don't have 90 degrees here. We don't want our elbows at the same height as our shoulders. We want about 45 degrees here. And our hands, as they come down, they should be just to the outside of our shoulders, right? We don't have to bring them in here. We can bring them in here for other types of push-ups, but not what we're doing today. So if you feel comfortable, I want you to be on your toes, right? That is optimal. But if you're not quite there yet, you can be on your knees and do your push-ups as well. Try to get your chest close to the ground without actually touching the ground. So let's get into our push-up position. Right? Ready? Make sure also that you're not dipping down this way or bringing your back up this way. So squeeze your glutes and squeeze your abs as you're going or in this position. Ready? 1, bring down and exhale as you come up. Try to go with me too. Try not to go too fast. 2, down, up. 3, down, up. 4, down, up. 5, down, up. 6, down, up. 7, down, up. 8, down, up. 9, down, up. 10, down, up. 11, down, up. 12, down, hold it, hold it, hold it, up. Pop your feet up and stand up. Great job. Take a deep breath. And another one. Inhale. Open that chest. Exhale. Great job. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do a few cool down stretches. Let's do these chest openers. Since we just did our push-ups, you can go thumb up once, then you can go palm up, thumb back the next time. Thumb up, palm up, thumb up, palm up, thumb up, palm up. Now let's do some torso twists. Try to look all the way over your shoulder one way, and then all the way over it the other way. Exhale as you twist. Now let's stretch our quads out. So you can balance, you can hold on to something if you want. Right, stretch those quads. When you're doing this, try not to let your knees separate too much. Try to keep your knees in close, and then knees are close. If you can still do this real easily, you can pull it back some. Squeeze the glute of the same side that you're stretching. And other side. Now let's stretch our hamstrings. We're going to do one leg at a time at first. We're going to drop down onto one foot. If you can, try to keep that heel on the ground. If you need to, you can raise up onto the ball of the foot and put your hand to the outside of your leg. Reach with the other one. Take a few deep breaths here. You should be feeling this in your hamstrings, right at the back of your leg. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And let's go ahead and switch sides. Same thing. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, everybody's favorite. Let's go ahead and let's drop down into the splits, right? It's the easiest stretch in the world that almost anybody can do, no problem. Right? No? Okay, well, let's work on it just a little bit. Don't hurt yourself. This goes with rule number 2 from the very beginning. If you feel any pain at all, stop immediately. Discomfort is okay. Pain is not okay. You should learn the difference. Discomfort, perfectly fine. You should be uncomfortable a lot. That's a good thing. You should not be in pain. Now let's go ahead. Let's hop up and show the inside of her foot and the other foot. Inside of her foot, other foot. Just like this. Now that last stretch, just for fun, right? But if you want to be able to kick somebody in the head, you should know how to do that. Great job. Take breaths in and out. Now, make sure that if you're really committed to your training, that you join the school community for the Adventurers Guild so you can stay up to date with all the training and be part of the community. All right. Last thing I want to do is I want to just recap what we went over today. So we went over some basic stuff today, but the first thing was our fighting stance. You learned that it's pretty dynamic stance that should be flowing. It's not a rigid stance that doesn't move. Next thing we learned was a basic footwork of step and slide, forward and backwards. So we step and we slide, we step and we slide. After that, we learned how to do a jab, which is a lead hand straight punch. Then we also learned how to do a cross, which is a rear hand straight punch. Okay. We then learned how to do an angle 1 and an angle 2. An angle 1 being a downward diagonal forehand strike, and angle 2 being a downward diagonal backhand strike. And we did just a little bit of conditioning covering how to do a squat and how to do a proper push-up. Hopefully you enjoyed today's session. I'll see you in the next one.